We've gotten several inquiries about the continuous integration and continuous deployment process behind our Laravel starter and Lumen starter repositories that are available on GitHub. So in this video, we're going to talk about how we handle that in-house. So when a developer builds something, we use GitHub. So when a developer builds something, they push that feature branch up to GitHub and create a pull request. And in that pull request is where we do all of our code review. Another member of the team, one of the other developers, looks at it and looks at things like, goes through the code, looks at how maintainable is this implementation, is the implementation secure, how scalable is it, and other things like that that we definitely want to be reviewed once shipped. It's also a great knowledge sharing opportunity. You don't have just one person working on a given feature. Because we require code reviews, the person who built it and one other developer on the team has to sign off on it before it gets shipped. So that helps avoid that scenario where Joe's on vacation and nobody else knows how it works. So we're all scared or nervous because there's some issue with it. So it makes sure at least two people are familiar with it. It also allows us to improve as a team. We, as a developer, you're regularly learning from other developers, implementation details, technique, all that kind of stuff. This is a great opportunity for us to knowledge share. We also use code reviews as the opportunity for the QA team. That's also a checkpoint for a QA to sign off on a given feature. So rather than 7 to 12 features that are a potential release getting grouped together, shipped to QA, and only 7 of them being signed off on and shippable, we're doing them one by one. So QA has the opportunity to look at just a given feature, add any testing they feel like needs to happen at that point, test that rigorously, knowing that there's no overlap with other features. So if there's anything broken, we know it's isolated to that branch. Once it gets reviewed by the QA team, the last checkpoint is CI. CI actually automatically runs when the pull request is created, and CI takes care of building Docker containers. It runs unit, functional, and API tests for Lumen apps and acceptance tests for Laravel apps within the CI process. If there's any failures, the build fails, we don't even code review it till everything passes. Continuous integration also checks for PHP's PSR2 code syntax formatting standards. So that check is done there as well, and it'll fail for any violations. Once a team member and QA have signed off on it, it gets merged into the dev branch. Dev is one of our mainline branches. It's where all the developer source code goes after everything gets signed off on. At that point, whenever we're ready to promote a release, whatever's in that release gets shipped to staging. And that process happens by actually merging the code into the staging branch. Once it gets merged into the staging branch, we do another CI check. We want to make sure everything works, so we're testing every step of the way. So everything will be checked again in the CI environment. Assuming it passes, it will push the Docker containers to Docker Hub. If it fails, it does not push the containers. So on success, push containers to Docker Hub. Docker Hub, once all the containers are there, automatically performs a rolling deployment, a rolling zero downtime deployment to Rancher. Rancher is a tool we use in our environments to manage our Docker containers. And so in this case, since it came from the staging branch, it's going to be shipped to the staging environment. This is the first hosted environment where other people can view the application. The staging environment is also powered by seeded data. So it purely relies on migrations and seeders within the application to populate that database. So once that gets reviewed, once we're ready to actually ship a release to production, we merge the staging branch into the master branch. That gets run in CI again, gets pushed to Docker Hub, gets sent to Rancher for a rolling deployment, and then gets deployed to production. The end game objective through all of this is developers trigger deployments by merging from one branch to another, and everything else is automated. There are stops in place when things go wrong, and so it empowers the developers to add the kind of testing coverage and add the kind of testing standards they want in place to make sure the application is shippable, to make sure the application works in a way that we want to be shippable.